quiet morning. The year is 1835. The city is New York. Imagine the sound of a horse-drawn carriage on a cobblestone street covered in thick morning fog. Today is August 21st. A small, struggling newspaper called The Sun is about to publish a story that will change the world. The narrative begins not with a word, but with a lens. A huge 24-foot glass lens is being pulled up the side of a mountain in South Africa. We describe the weight of the glass, the tension of the rope, and the silence of the Cape of Good Hope. This lens belongs to Sir John Herschel, the most famous astronomer of his time. He is looking for stars, but the newspaper claims that he has found something else. Episode 2. The Revelation. As the audience begins to relax, we describe the first discovery. With this fictionalized version of Herschel's telescope, the moon is no longer a dead rock. It is a lush, green meadow. We describe in full and rhythmic detail lunar plants, dark red flowers growing in ivory-colored canyons, lunar oceans, slow-moving waves under low-gravity skies, first creature, Vespertilio-homo, winged humans, 4 feet tall, covered in copper-colored fur. The description is clinical. We talk about wing membranes, the way they harvested fruit, and the architecture of their sapphire-encrusted temples. For 15 minutes, the audience is immersed in a world that seems scientifically real because of the dry, academic tone of the narration. Episode 3. The Global Fever. The story leans towards the reaction on Earth. New York falls silent. People stop work to wait for the next edition of The Sun. Subscriptions skyrocket. We describe the silence of the crowd. Even the rival scientists fall silent. The story follows the rhythmic ticking of a clock in a newsroom. We explore the logistical details of how information traveled by steamship and carrier pigeon in 1835, slowing down to match the listener's breathing. Episode 4. The Twist. As the story reaches its climax, the twist is revealed. The real scientist from South Africa, Sir John Herschel, doesn't know any of this is happening. He's actually looking at the nebula, not the winged men. The entire series was written by a journalist named Richard Adams Locke. It wasn't just a lie, it was a satirical story that people took very seriously. But here's the final twist. When the hoax was finally exposed, the public wasn't angry. They didn't care that it was fake. The story was so beautiful and the description so vivid that they chose to believe in the lunar heavens. The truth was less important than the dream. Episode 5. Fading Moon. The description slowly creeps in. We return to the moon. The red flowers and the temple of sapphires are described one last time. We describe the telescope lens being covered with velvet cloth. The light of human vision fades. The moon rises over the real New York of 1835, silent and gray again. And the winged creatures disappear into the mists of history. Manhattan quiet. Imagine the year 1835. It is a humid August night in New York City. The gas lamps on the corner of Broadway flicker with a dull yellow light. There is no electricity, no hum of engines, only the sound of a lone horse's hooves on the cobblestones. In a small, narrow office on Spruce Street, a printing press is being prepared. The smell of fresh ink and damp paper fills the room. This is the office of the Sun newspaper. The editor, Richard Adams Locke, is looking through a series of documents. These papers claim to be reprinted from the Edinburgh Journal of Science. They describe an advance that should not be possible. A massive telescope, a glass lens weighing 7 tons, has been transported to the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. Its creator is Sir John Herschel, the world's most famous astronomer. While the Earth sleeps, the telescope is pointed at the moon, and for the first time in human history, the moon is no longer a mystery. The velvet desert of the moon. The lens captures the light of the lunar surface. When scholars look through the eyepiece, they don't see craters or gray dust, they see color. First, the basaltic rock. It's not black, it's a deep, transparent purple. Then the vegetation. There are forests of dark red cedar trees, their needles shimmering like silk in the lunar breeze. There are vast fields of white poppies that never wither. The description follows the telescope's path across the Mare Serenitatis, the Sea of Tranquility. Here, they find the animals. Small bison-like creatures with lead-colored fur and a single horn. They graze slowly on the blue moss. There are bipedal beavers who carry their young in their arms. One carries and builds huts that show signs of smoke. Every detail is scientifically recorded. Coolness, tree height, 64 feet. Moon air temperature, mild and fragrant. The listener is invited to imagine the rhythmic swaying of the red forest under a sky where the Earth hangs like a huge shining marble. Discovery of the winged man. Then, on the 4th day of the report, the greatest discovery. Near a lake surrounded by mountains of pure gold, astronomers see movement. The creatures emerge. They are 4 feet tall. Their bodies are covered in thin, copper-colored fur, but wings sprout from their shoulders. Magnificent, membranous wings like those of bats, but transparent like stained glass. They are called Vespertilio-homo. The scientists see them talking. They see them flying in beautiful circles and gathering fruit from trees. They seem peaceful. They have no weapons, no city, just a quiet, eternal existence in a garden that never knows winter. The Sun's reports take over New York. People wait in line for hours to read about the winged men. The city is silent while everyone reads. The disturbing descriptions of their wing structure and their flight patterns are the stuff of the city. It acts like a lullaby for the moon. The moon is no longer a rock. It is a home. 22 to 27 minutes. The twist in the ink. But, as August draws to a close, a traveler arrives from South Africa. He meets scientists in New York. He's confused. He tells them that Sir John Herschel is actually in South Africa, but he is looking at stars millions of light years away. He is not looking at the moon. The giant lens? It doesn't exist. The winged man? They were a dream created by Richard Adams Locke. Locke wrote the whole story to sell newspapers and to amuse the scientists of his time. It was a hoax, a beautiful, elaborate lie printed on cheap paper. This twist, when the truth came out, people didn't protest. They didn't burn down the newspaper offices. Instead, they laughed. They preferred the lie. They dominate the idea of winged men living in the red forest. A cold, bare rock. Even rival scientists admit they are disappointed that the moon wasn't as magical as Locke promised. 27 minutes to 30 minutes. Final fade. This hoax is one of the most successful stories in history. But as the ink on that old newspaper dried, the moon stared up into the sky. Imagine the moon now. It's quiet. The red forest is gone. The winged men are gone. There's only the silence of the crater and the long, dark shadows of the moonlit night. The telescope lens is covered. The gas lamps of New York have been extinguished. The horses have stopped walking. The world is dark. The story is over. There is only the rhythm of your breathing. The moon is high, the stars are far away. Sleep is here.